Just enter, okay? Wow.
It's Gustavo.
I don't know. Ah, he's coming again. Let's open here. Cliff, come into our live here on Instagram too.
Oh yeah, you gave me the microphone.
Mm-hmm. What's happening here that our broadcast is full of things here? Yeah. Don't know what's happening here on our live. So who is here?
You're sharing a screen. You're sharing the YouTube
Okay.
screen. You want to stop sharing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, I wasn't on Instagram.
Yeah.
Here you
I
go.
mean, because then we start.
Well, I have two different Seminole Englishes.
It's a bit crazy today, right?
No, it's two. Okay.
No, I'm not sharing anything. I just entered here on YouTube and they are showing something else. Okay, Gustav didn't come back, but let's start. Okay. And we can start. If somebody else comes in, I can.
If you put me live, isn't it going to cause feedback?
No. Come in. Feedback is only if you don't put that microphone. All right. He told me he's watching
I don't know
on
which
YouTube.
camera to look at.
Yeah, but you can put the computer just behind the cell phone. But I think it's better to look at. Hello, everyone. Here we are. I'm Andrea from Seminole English for Professionals.
Hey, Cliff.
And we are here to talk to you about a project we have started. We have a nice group of people. We are working on a 14-day challenge, communication challenge. It's a program we started for people who already speak English, who can already speak English, and this is for improvement. So we invited some students to come here, but some schedules are not matching to ours. So Cliff and I are going to talk a little bit about our impressions on this fantastic group that is working with us in the challenge. Cliff, tell us a little bit about your expectation on the group, what you saw that is interesting, and how is
what
the English?
What I like to see in the group, we're getting a lot of good videos. The recording on your cell phone or recording on video isn't always easy. But as we move further into the 21st century, it has become an essential skill. As you know, I'm working with one of our most recent students on a video interview that she needs to do. So she needs to get her resume into 60 seconds of video. All right. So imagine trying to consolidate your whole resume into 60 seconds of video. Recording videos isn't easy. Andrea and I do it fairly frequently, so it has become kind of second nature for us. But not everybody is really used to sitting in front of a camera, or it's almost like you're talking to no one sometimes if you record a selfie video, you know.
Yeah.
Adriano has become an expert at that, right? Like he just extends his arm and talks to his camera as if it was, talks to his cell phone as if it was a person. And that's a difficult thing. So go ahead.
It's good to say to people from Instagram that we are also on live on YouTube. So there are moments we look at the camera here in the cell phone, and also here also here on our computer. Okay. So if you want to come to YouTube, you are also invited. Yeah, as you told, recording video is not natural. And I say that it's much easier to make a live, to go on live here on the internet than recording a video. Because a video sometimes we need to record 2 times, 3 times, and we are not satisfied. We don't like it at all. So if you need to do something like that, Cliff told us that he's working with a student that needs to prepare a video resume. And then, people, this is a very high level of challenge. And what I see is that people sometimes in the group is saying, oh, but it is very difficult. I recorded 3 times. There are moments I record 5 times, okay? And I have some experience in recording the videos, right? Gustavo is here with us on YouTube, on Instagram. Gustavo makes part of this group. Gustavo, can you tell if you want to write something here on Instagram about your expectation? What do you see in the group, in the challenge group? It is going to be very good for other clients, other people to see that too. Okay. So please.
So, as some of you guys know, I love grammar. And there are certain grammar points that we keep seeing coming back in people's writing and in people's videos. And a big point in English is how to join verbs together. We probably spend a lot of time, we probably spend too much time saying, you need to put to, you need to say, I want to do, I need to do. But we have a certain family of very common verbs that are modal auxiliary verbs. And whenever we use a modal auxiliary verb, we have to make sure that we do not use to. So what is a modal auxiliary verb? What does it do, right? If I look at a verb like can is helping another verb do something. So while I have to say, I want to go to the supermarket, it's not possible for me to say, I can to go to the supermarket. This family of verbs never has to. So we have 9 of these guys. I don't know, Andre, I don't know if you could share your screen on Zoom and type this on a slide, but we have will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, and must. And this group of verbs never use to. You can't put a to, you can't conjugate the verb that comes next. It can't be in the past tense. It can't have an ing, right? And this is one of those errors that you frequently see. Andrea and I were talking about this the other day. If you're watching an American television show, you'll see that when the actor is doing an impression of a foreign person, they say, I must to go. Right? So it's one of those errors that Americans associate with people who are second language speakers. Right? And none of these guys are ever going to have a to after them. Now, yeah, the general rule, as we always tell you guys, the general rule, I want to put two verbs together. I have to put a to. Right? My father encouraged me to study. Right?
This is the general rule, right, Cliff? And but when you use modals or auxiliaries, you cannot use to, because when you say I want to go to the beach on the weekend. So here you have two verbs.
No,
every time.
And let's add a new sentence after this. Period. Give me a period and an enter. It should be sunny.
Mm-hmm. Should be sunny. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then when you use any modal or any auxiliary, you don't use to. If you ask a question, did you study English yesterday? So, yeah, you cannot use to here too, but I should use another example.
No, but imagine I have seen Avatar 2, which I haven't seen. I haven't seen Avatar 2. Andrea has seen Avatar 2. Right? But if I say I have seen Avatar 2, you know, we can't put I have to seen.
Okay. This is
Right.
this is one of the biggest mistakes we see here. And so take care about modal verbs, right? Another thing that's a very basic situation that I see in to advanced people, because I talk to people, everybody who comes here and talk about buying our course, knowing what we do. I often do an interview to see if the person can speak English or if they can, for us to put the right level, to add this person the right level for him or for her to get a better result at seminar, right? And this we usually learn in book 1 in every school. When we talk about age, when I say I'm 49 years old, people, when I talk about age, you don't have age. Next year, I'm 50. The other year, I'm 51. So you cannot use have. And I always listen to people say, I have, independent of the level, even in advanced.
This is one of those little thinking differences between Portuguese and English. In Portuguese, frequently we say eu tenho uma característica. Right? So Eu tenho medo de aranhas, right? But in English, the basic rule is be and then characteristic. So it's a little difference in the way we think when we're speaking the language. In general, in English, we be characteristic. So I say I am happy. I say I am a teacher. And I say I am 175 centimeters. Right? The way we think about that in English, the way that comes into our heads is be and then characteristic.
Yeah, I took some notes here for about some mistakes I always see. Okay, the other one is when we talk about using the present perfect and simple past. Cliff is a specialist. Cliff is an expert to explain that. So
we need a little bit more time to explain it, but if I talk about something that ended that does not have a connection with the present, it's just the simple past tense. I have a student who has been with me for years, and he loves the present perfect. The present perfect is his best friend. I have been to the movies on Friday. No, you haven't been to the movies on Friday. If I tell you when something happens, it is not present perfect, guys. If I tell you when something happens, it's just simple past. On Friday, I went to the movies on Friday. When I talk about my experiences, it's present perfect. Now I can say, and sometimes there's a nice difference, guys. Sometimes you can use this to your advantage. If I say, I've been to Paris. Well, that sounds sophisticated, right? I've been to Paris. But if I tell you I went to Paris in 1990, like, well, that's 30 years ago. It's not that impressive, right? So if I tell you when something happened and that time has closed, we can't use present perfect. And I think that part of this problem is that we as English teachers, sometimes we like to hammer present perfect, you know. We like to try to emphasize present perfect for our students. But it's important that there is a connection with the present. So I've been to New York City hundreds of times in my life. Right? But I never went into the World Trade Center. Now, I can say I have been to New York City. New York City is real. It is a thing. I can go next week. Tickets are 1,700 reais right now. Tickets are at a good price right now, right? So if I want to go to New York City, I can go. I can't say I have been to the World Trade Center or I have never been to the World Trade Center, because the World Trade Center does not exist anymore, right? Unfortunately, in 2001, that stopped existing. So at the same time as I say, I have never been to the Empire State Building, that's an important building in New York City, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can go to New York. I can go to the Empire State Building. It's still there. I have to say I never went to the World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I walked in front of it many times, the World Trade Center. I walked in front of it many, many times, but I never went inside, right? And because that thing doesn't have a connection with the present, we can't use present perfect. Present perfect at least has to have a possibility to exist in the present and to exist in the future.
Good. So Excel, welcome to our live here. The other.
Good.
Okay.
Sorry. Good evening. I'm late.
No, don't worry. If you can open your camera, it's better because we are online.
Beautiful guy. He doesn't want to show up on camera.
Yeah. So the other situation I saw, this one I have a question to Cliff because the person said, "Oh, I work in a place. For example, I work at Seminole. It stays here in Lorena, or it is here in Lorena."
The thing about stay, I'm really glad that you brought that up, Andrea. That's I've mentioned this in the past, and maybe it's too detailed sometimes, but we always say that our verb be is ser and a star.
Mm-hmm.
But be is not just ser and a star. Because think, age, eu tenho 52 anos,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Good evening.
And in Portuguese, and in English, I am 52 years old. So sometimes be is ter, right? And very frequently, be is ficar.
Mm-hmm.
English doesn't have that differentiation like Portuguese between temporary and permanent. Because I know that in Portuguese, it's very different for me to say eu estou feliz, eu sou senador, right? Senator is a profession. Happy is a temporary and changeable condition. So I say I am happy. I am a senator in English, right? When we talk about location, that is be. Stay is more like pousar, right? I'm going to Chicago next week. My aunt lives in Chicago. I'll stay with my aunt, right? That is just me sleeping in my aunt's house, right? My aunt's house is in Chicago because location is always be, right? And even if I say something simple, and Andrea has seen me do this hundreds of times, where are my keys? Right? I don't know where my keys are, right? Even something temporary like that is be. Where are my keys? Where are my glasses? right? So where is the pharmacy? The pharmacy is on the corner, right? Whereas in Portuguese, we say fica, right? Onde fica a farmácia? Fica na esquina, right? Because position in Portuguese, we can use ficar. But location in English is always is, whether it's a temporary location or permanent location.
So it was one of the mistakes at our group of communication, okay? And there was another question about when you work on a puzzle, what's the right verb? I looked for it, I found it, but I prefer you to explain that.
Do you mean like a jigsaw puzzle?
Yes, something like this. What is the verb for doing this?
I think it's put together.
Put together? I found assemble a jigsaw.
But it's avoiding the phrasal verbs. It's a
Okay.
translation avoiding phrasal verbs.
Okay.
You guys know native speakers, English native speakers, we love phrasal verbs.
Okay, so
And
repeat it again, please.
put together.
Put
Together, junto.
put together. Okay.
So I like putting together puzzles, right? Now, but you can use do. I like doing puzzles. But doing puzzles could be crossword puzzles, right? It could be other kind of puzzles. When you're talking about jigsaw puzzles, put together is the most normal verb.
So these were the words, the things I wanted to bring to this live because they are very common mistakes and questions. And then I want to tell everybody that we are at this moment working on our 14-day challenge, the communication challenge. And then it's a very good experience because you can improve your communication in 14 days. Now, there's no way for you to enter the group anymore because we are going to our 4th day of the challenge. And then if you go now, you are going to have a lot of homework. So this is not what we want you to do. But about communication, I want to tell you one thing. Independently of mistakes, the most important, I'm not saying a very high level manager because these people need to talk to a lot of different people from around the world. And it's not beautiful a manager having these kinds of mistakes. But people, the most important thing in communication is to be understood. Okay? So, if you want to do it better, you need to improve your everyday communication. But a mistake is not going to be a problem for another person to understand you. So, and only practice makes perfection. If you want to be perfect in something, study every day. I don't say study every day, but listen to something every day, speak with somebody every day for you to improve your abilities. Please.
I think it's super important to point out. I love to use this example. I know it's not a new example, but years ago when George Bush the younger was president, he gave a press conference with Jacques Chirac, the president of France. Now, George Bush and Jacques Chirac were good friends, right? So they gave their press conference. They said what they needed to say officially. And then they had extra time. So they just opened up the microphones and let the journalist ask open questions. Now, George Bush is a Texan. He is from Texas in the United States. And George Bush, I have to say, George Bush is bilingual. He speaks English and Spanish, right? But he speaks Texas English and Spanish. Now, Jacques Chirac did his master's degree in Oxford University, right? So when these two world leaders were talking to the press, Jacques Chirac from France and George Bush from the United States, technically, who spoke English better? Technically, Jacques Chirac spoke English way better than George Bush. Right? Jacques Chirac spoke Oxford level English. You have to have a CAE certificate, which most people can't pass the test. Most native speakers, most of us, can't pass the CAE test. But Jacques Chirac had to pass that test to get into Oxford University. So you had a situation when these two men were speaking comfortably, George Bush, a Texan, and Jacques Chirac, an Oxford man, right? So technically, Jacques Chirac was speaking English more properly. But those guys were both great communicators. So do you need to speak English perfectly? You don't need to speak English perfectly. You need to be able to express your ideas. You can't be afraid of making mistakes. I think that if we think in Portuguese, you don't think twice if you make a mistake when you're speaking Portuguese.
Yes.
You know,
That's it.
if you're speaking Portuguese to your friend, you don't question that. Or if you're speaking Portuguese to a coworker, if you make a mistake in conjugation or gender, you don't question it, right? So it's important that you think, if I can express my ideas, that is the most important thing. That is the thing I need to focus on. I need to express my ideas. And from a point of view of speaking in English or expressing yourself in English, kind of the most important thing is, just remember, guys, in English, we always say a person did a thing. In Portuguese, we love a thing was done by a person, right? But in English, we directly say a person did a thing. So I would give the example, a Brazilian manager talking about a report says, é necessário refazer o relatório. Right? But the American manager or the British manager says, we need to redo the report.
Mhm.
We, who? You. Right? You need to do it. But in English, the thinking is a person does a thing. So try to simplify your constructions. Try to build simple sentences. A person does a thing, right? The cat ate a fish, right? And then explain why.
So people, here what Cliff said is that there is a structure for us to speak English. I usually explain it to my first basic class. It's subject, verb, and complement, right? So this is a person does something, okay? I always say let's think about another person, not I. Let's put it she. She studies English. So this is people, everything in English uses the same structure. Of course, you are going to see, oh, but there are adjectives, there are pronouns, okay, but the main sentence is this. Because there are people who speak English fluently and they don't use the right structure, and it's important to use it. So she studies English. But how can I say it in the past? She studied English, but simple past, you need to put a time expression, right? Yesterday.
And she was a child yesterday, this morning.
Yeah. Then I want to talk that she, using the present perfect. She has studied English. It means she studied, but she continues studying English, right? It's related.
We understand from the sentence.
Yes.
That she continues.
Yes.
Right.
Another one. Okay. Future. She will study. Future, we have two. Okay, we are going to use just one. English.
Seminole. Give me an Seminole.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Here we can put the name of the person. Axel is here with us. Gustavo. Gustavo will study English at Seminole. Okay. So people, we need to just use this structure. If you use this, you don't have a simple and very basic mistakes in English. If you have this in mind. So keep in mind that the subject, verb, and complement. So I invite you to know our project, because our project is developed to help you to overcome your challenges. We are focused on your challenges, on your what more? On your challenges, on your goals. Why?
Professional development.
Professional development. And then here we have students, we have clients who are here to practice for presentations, to study everyday English, to participate in job interviews. So that's what we do. That's what we do, and we are here inviting you to know much more about Seminole. Our social media has a lot of content, and every Tuesday, Cliff and I, sometimes we invite some students. Today, only Axel is present here with us.
Axel, next week you can talk to us and we'll do a little interview, okay?
Don't worry.
And then Gustavo answered. I put Gustavo will study English with us at Seminole. So he put there on Instagram, of course, because he was watching there. And then people, I invite you to come here and know our project and make Seminole a project of your life too, for helping you to achieve your goals. Any other words, Cliff? No?
I just want to encourage everybody to practice as much as they can. Take every opportunity you can to, if you have opportunities to interact with people in English, do it. If you don't have opportunities to interact with people in English, the internet has so many free resources that you can take advantage of. You can watch YouTube You can listen to podcasts on Spotify. You can study music. A lot of people love English music. Learn the lyrics of the songs. Learn to sing the songs. There's a lot of tools that you can use in order to keep practicing every day. But the important thing, keep at it. Don't stop. And you're going to find that you will reach your goals.
But it's also important that you speak with other people, okay? That's why we are calling our students to come to our live on YouTube, because sometimes Cliff and I can't teach everybody. And then here you can have this contact with us. You can talk to us. You can bring your questions to us, right? Today, the goal was saying, I was speaking about our challenge, our 14-day communication challenge. But so soon we are going to launch our communication workshop. That's going to be in November. So keep your attention on our social media and see that, because we have a lot of other programs that is not only studying English in a regular way. But of course, everything is important to improve your English. Keep in contact, talk to us, and let's do a better life. Let's speak another language. And it's not only important for professional life, but it is also important for your health, for not getting Alzheimer's some years later when you are old, okay, elderly, okay? And so people, keep in touch with us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much, Axel.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.